guys, it's Liz here with a fun video for you. Today I'm going to be showing you how I did color blocking like you saw in my recent mani up on my Instagram. So I used these guides for my mani. There are multiple ways to do it. This is the way that I'm going to show you today. So these guides I just bought off of Amazon. There's two different types, more plasticky ones like you see in the back and the papery ones like you see in the front. I did find that the papery ones worked a little bit better, but I'm also going to show you how to use washi tape. I've used this before and I got this washi tape from none other than the Dollar Tree. So the first way is probably the easiest way to do it, and I use this technique for my thumb like you see there, but you just do a dip as a background color, whatever background color you want. Put on your guides however you want your color blocking, and then dip as usual. I used the pour over method for this mani. And I found that that works a little bit better than dipping your whole finger in with this technique. So then you're just going to wait for it to dry a little bit, and then you will just pull off those guides. You want to make sure that it's dried a little bit. It's not going to dry completely without activating it. And just be careful when you're taking off the guide so that you're not taking off the dip that you want for the color blocking. Then you're just going to dip and clear, activate, file and buff, and this is the end product after you put the top coat on. I didn't show you all of the filing and buffing in every one, but if you want to see that, I do show at the end of the video. So the next technique that I'm going to show you, I used for my pointer finger that you see here, and I used this directly on my nail. I started with nothing underneath it except for some clear. Put my guides on, and I did use a few more guides than what I'm showing you on this, but just for time's sake, I just used 2 guides for this one. So, and I do find it easier to place them with the tweezers than just using my fingers because they just stick so much to your fingers. So after you have the guides on, again, you're just going to dip like normal I used the pour over method. I did 2 dips with the color. After the second dip, or however many dips that you want to do, then you want to wait for it to dry a little bit, and then you can remove those guides and clean up any areas that you may see that need to be cleaned up, either with your fingernail or a toothpick works really well too. Now from here you can go ahead and freehand it if you feel comfortable doing that. But I know that I can get a little messy, and I am a bit of a perfectionist, so I went ahead and put some guides on there. It also kind of just, you can move a little bit quicker if you put those guides back on. You don't have to worry about going really slow, so if you have a fast drying base, then you don't really have to worry about it too much. So I moved these almost immediately, and then just waited for it to dry, dusted it off, and you can see it's kind of a little rough here, but after a dip and clear, buffing and filing, adding that top coat, those lines are almost perfect. I was really happy with how this one turned out. So the next one that I'm going to show you is with the washi tape. And you can do a chevron pattern like I'm showing you in the other one using the washi tape. You just have to cut it, and I kind of show you later on in the video how you can cut it to get that chevron pattern. But for this one, I just did the 1 triangle pattern. Again, you're going to do your dips just like I showed you in the other one, and I am using different liquids for you as well. I wanted to try out the different liquids just to see if there was any difference in there. This one, it did kind of pull off. Maybe I didn't wait long enough for it to dry, so I did have a little spot where it messed up. But for the most part, all of the liquids seem to work. So it doesn't really matter which liquids you used. For the mani that I did for my Instagram account, I did use my Virgo and Gem because I just love them. And they probably performed the best for this technique. But all of them worked with varying levels of success. So as you can see, I kind of showed you how I cut the tape to make that point on there. And if you do that for multiple chevrons, then you can get more of a chevron pattern than just this triangular pattern that I have here. So this one I actually did have to dip 3 times with the glitter. I only dipped twice with the color, but it didn't make too big of a separation in the height. So once I dipped it in the clear, filed and buffed, it was fine. But if you do notice a big separation, you may want to go ahead and activate it, or even just lightly buff anything before you dip in clear and then file and buff and finish it off. But just a slight variation in the degree of thickness, you're not going to notice. So this one, you can kind of see that in action, how, because I just dipped straight on to that. And this guide was not sticking. I tried to add another guide and it still was not sticking. I don't know if it was that type of guide that just doesn't want to stick to the dip, or if it was just that pattern. But I did do 2 dips of powder over that base coat of powder, and after I put on the clear, filed and buffed, there you couldn't tell. It was very level and shiny and flat. So this last one was more of a fail, but I just wanted to show y'all so you could see and learn from my mistakes. So I wanted to see if I could do a more intricate pattern like this with the dips. And the first time I used this glitter, which has a little bit of pigment in it, so I think it would have been fine. But the second dip that I used was just straight glitter, and as you can see here, you can't really see the pattern at all. So the second time I tried it, I didn't wait for it to dry, and this is what happens when you don't wait for it to dry long enough. The third time I did 2 solid colors, waited long enough for it to dry, and it turned out okay. It still was not completely how I wanted it, but you can see when I compare them to the other 2 fails that I had, it looks a lot better than my first 2 attempts. So I just wanted to show you too how I file and buff, just in case you have any questions about that or have trouble getting it level. So what I do is I will use my finger to fill out any bumps and any ridges, any place where it's not level, and make sure that I try to get that as level as possible. I will file back and forth, up and down, and again, that will just help it to get level up and down the nail as well as across the nail. So once you have it as smooth as you can get it, then you just want to use your buffer to smooth all of that out. And you can pretty much see after that what it's going to look like after you activate it and top coat it. But if you do put activator on there and you see any spaces that it's not smooth, you can always go back and file again and reactivate. And that's going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, thanks for watching.